Okay,
Hello, Sharon. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I would love for our listeners to hear a little bit about your background, your very impressive background, and how you came to coaching.
sure. Thanks, Chrissy. I am a general internist, and as a general internist, we solve problems every day. And so my career has really been focused on problem solving. And I worked in quality in healthcare. I worked in executive healthcare. I worked in primary care clinics. I've done homeless healthcare and homebound elderly healthcare. I've written grants. I've done a number of things. My last job, however, I was the chief wellness officer of a large health system, as you know.
Mhm.
And I took that job, and 3 months later, the COVID pandemic hit. And I realized that despite all my experience, I did not have the bandwidth to help people as fast as I wanted to help them, specifically during COVID, where just about everyone in the healthcare system really needed support, either personally or for their teams, or thinking about, what to tell patients and their families. And so I certified as a coach, a life coach during the COVID pandemic. And during that time, formed my LLC
Mhm.
so that I could continue to do one on one coaching, which I absolutely fell in love with. And so here I am. And that's how you and I met because another coaching company with a colleague, you were so kind to help us to sort through some of our ideas. And that business is also thriving.
So wonderful. Um, Tell me a little bit what it's like to work with you in a session. I have the privilege of knowing what it's like to work with you in a session, but for people who don't have that privilege already, what is your approach? How would you describe your style?
Well, and I will also say you're probably the only person I have ever known who has elected to have keep their coaching session as scheduled when they were on vacation. And you were in a very special vacation, I think, that year. And so I like to partner with my clients. And so we very clearly have a goal that the client has really helped to articulate. And we check and make sure that we're on the same page again and again because things change.
Mhm.
But a typical session begins, and I tell all my clients this, is every time you come to coaching, I am ready to coach you. So there's no homework involved, although I may give you some worksheets or suggested readings. There is no quiz, there is no homework. We come to solve the problem that you have at the current time because what we know in life coaching is sometimes those tacks in the road keep you from accomplishing what it is you want to accomplish long term. So it's
Mhm.
really important that you come as you are and you share what is happening. And then we work through that together. And then we have some other pragmatic skills, some exercises. I can, help you with some prompts. Say you're going on an interview or something along those lines. And I recognize that what happens in the coaching session is the core of the coaching, but I'm also available to my clients outside of the coaching session via email, and I can help them, solve whatever is going on during the week. There's no point in having a coach if you're not, they're not available to you. So that's sort of my style.
Mhm.
People do not abuse that privilege. I have never found that to be abused. I usually find when they're reaching out, they're celebrating something, and I love to hear that, or they're really stuck on something and trying to figure it out.
That's so generous. Yeah, I will always remember our first coaching session because it was crammed into kind of a 10 or 15-minute thing and we didn't know each other, but I had a big meeting and you were so kind and generous. And it was helpful that you were able to also wear a little bit of a consultant friend hat in
Mhm.
that encouraging moment. What do you hope people will get from working with you?
Uh, that's a great question. I hope they will get more than they expected. And I hope that they get more than they expected out of themselves. So my job as a coach is to just help them to see what's already there. The reason there's a tension or a discomfort or a yearning is because there's some voice inside that's saying, let me out. And hear me. And so in the sessions, it's like kind of a sacred space in so many ways where we just come together to really understand what's happening and to dissect that and then pull it back together with some new ways of thinking and experiencing life, gaining some perspective.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there particular topics or populations that you especially enjoy coaching on?
I love coaching on leadership.
Mhm.
So I believe every single person has the capability to lead wherever it is they are and to start with themselves with their own life. And so leadership capability, leadership presence, just having your own voice in any conversation is one of the areas I love working on. I also love, I'm a bit of a time management nerd.
Mhm.
So many people don't have enough time. I like finding time and being kind of nerdy about finding time and helping people find time and see that sort of for the thought error that it is,
Mhm.
which is really transformative. And I also like working on relationships and how not necessarily the relationship between two people, but the relationship that the individual has with whoever they're experiencing a relationship with.
Yeah.
Sort of breaking down some of those things, at a job or at home, with children. So those are my fun things.
So much richness in there. Thank you. In 12 by 12, we do the second module on core values and crafting a personal mission statement. And I know that you've spent plenty of time thinking about those things.
Mhm.
Are there some things related to values or personal mission that you would like to share?
Sure. I really think that's the core of it all. Sometimes when something isn't um, sitting well with me, I know that there's a core value of mine that is not in jeopardy so much as being challenged.
Mm.
One of my core values is honesty. I have a collection of Pinocchios, um, because Pinocchio became a real boy when he learned how to tell the truth.
Mm.
And there was something about that even if the truth is difficult, it's worth saying and finding the words to express it. So honesty, I think, is one of my core values lived every day.
Mm.
I would also say fairness and justice. I often work with clients and have had personal experience where I felt that something has been unfair or misunderstood. And so I really do focus a lot of coaching on that and to find that in relationships, or sometimes relationships are unbalanced, and how is it that you find the balance, etc. So I'd say those are probably my two strongest core values.
Thanks. And lastly, is there anything that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about related to your lived experience or how you are particularly uniquely prepared for the work that you're doing?
A school of life. I would say, being a physician, um, sort of how I have identified myself very, very strongly. I think being a mother,
Mhm.
I have four fabulous adult children, all of whom identify as gay. And I have a large family network that is of over 40 some odd nieces and nephews. I've stopped counting, but I now have 8 grand nieces and nephews. And so I think for me, family, community is very important. And then finally, I've been a volunteer most of my life, volunteering in nonprofits. And most recently, I am the incoming vice president of the White House Fellows Association and Foundation. I don't know how I got into that, but that's another story. But I often find in volunteering, you get so much more out of it than you actually can give. So I get a lot of richness in my life from my volunteer work.
Mm. Well, I know that you bring a lot of richness wherever you go. So,
Sweet.
so grateful that you are part of our Joy Point Solutions world, and honored to have you. Thank you for
I'm
spending
honored
this
to be
time.
with you. I'm honored. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yay. Thanks, Sharon.